All right, guys, let's paint a baby blue-footed booby. This is a little guy that I painted the other day and thought we could try and recreate him. I usually don't recreate things because I can't always get them exactly how they were the first time. But starting with this, we'll start with this, and let's start with sketching out some shapes for the body. So we got a circle here for the head and a big oval for the body. And I'm actually going to switch pencils. This one sketches a little bit better. All right, let's do a circle. And it's a little bit big, but that's okay. And then let's do like an oval, kind of a fat oval. And hopefully you can see that. I'll just turn this. And yes, I have a bang today because it's kind of a craptastic day and I needed something to boost my energy a little bit this morning. All right, so let's clean this up a little bit. We'll do a little fatter, flatter bottom on this guy. And go like that. And then let's shape his head like this a little bit. So I'm going to erase out these lines where the shapes join. And let's make his head a little bit smaller. Go like this. Bring this down. And let's fix that a little bit. I'm not loving it. I mean, he kind of looks like a candy blob at this point. All right, there we go. And now let's add his wings. And from the side, a blue-footed booby has wings that are like crazy long, like a normal bird like this. They're not really looking like a penguin. But from the front, it looks like cute little penguin arms, which is probably why I fell in love with this, because I love penguins. All right, let's bring down an arm. And let's do another one over here. All right, and let's draw some feet on. So we've got some feet. We're going to give them, they're kind of like little triangle sections. So I'll throw a triangle in there, and then they'll throw this one in. And I'm doing this darker than I normally would so that you can see it on the camera. Let me actually turn my overhead light on and see if that helps a little. Oh, there we go. Oh. I think that's a little better. Now let's give him a face. And we're doing his beak kind of at the side angle here. So let's give him, they have these yellow eyes that are crazy. And then they have like this brown skin that kind of comes around and then like it goes over their beak. And it just kind of looks really cool. And sometimes their beaks have like a blue hue to them, like the reflection. All right, so let's get this down. That's probably a little too big. Let's make it a little smaller. And see, I am a very slow sketcher and artist. All right, let's give some definition to that beak. All right, so that is about it for the sketch. This might need to come in a little, but all right. Give him an eye lift. It's a little low. Give him his yellow eye circle. All right. And there we go. All right, so let's paint this little guy. right, I have my Winsor & Newton paints over here and some water, and I'm going to move everything a little closer to me. Refresh my paints with a spritz and move my water over here so I can get to it. All right. Let's paint this little guy. All right, so blue footed boobies have a variegated brown in their wings, not their arms, and their feet are this really cool blue color. And the females are a slightly lighter, not as vibrant color as the males. But we're going to pretend that we're painting a male because I like the bright feet. In my inspiration picture, this little guy was actually sitting on an egg, so it is a little female. All right, so we're going to pick up some brown, and I have a variety of browns in my palette, and I just kind of mix them up a little bit and start with a little bit lighter of a wash on the arms. So we're just going to take some color and drop it in. And we'll drop some on this side too. And I'm going to actually change the shape of his arm a little bit because it's a little too fat over here. All right. I'm going to pick up a little bit darker of a brown because I like that darker brown color. And we're going to drop it kind of along the sides here. Give it a depth. And I'm just going to let it kind of bleed out in the wet paint. All right, so now their heads their chest has little flecks of feathers, mostly white. But if I painted this whole thing if I just left it white, it would be boring. So we're going to put in some little flecks of dark feather peeking out from underneath. And then we'll give a little bit of a shade here when we get down to the feet, and that will give it some shape. All right, so I'm going to mix a little bit lighter of a brown. So it just means I'm going to put a lot of water in my brown. And give it a really light wash. And I'm going to switch my brush too to a tiny brush to put in some tiny little feather flakes. All right, got a little bit of white on here. I mean brown, sorry, to make the white a little better. All right, let's just drop some feather in here. I actually think I need a darker color brown for this one, so we'll just pick up a lighter wash of a darker brown. And I'm just leaving, let me see if I can zoom a little bit for you. There we go. I am just going to drop in some little tiny flecks of color. It just gives it some shape. And maybe I'll put a little gray in this brown. Give it a little different hue. All right, we'll just drop that in. Oh, I like that brown a little better. Let's drop some gray into here. And we're going to continue some up along the head. Because they're mostly white, their feathers, but they do have a little bit of like some grays in their brown fur that kind of come through in the little flecks. I can't even talk today, guys. This is crazy. All right, let's try this again. A little bit more paint, a little bit darker colors. And he needs some kind of coming in his chest, really light colors. Now, watercolor will dry a lot lighter than when it's wet. Like it will fade out. You can kind of see right in here but it's kind of a lot lighter than it was. All right, let's do his beak. So with the beak, it's kind of a brownish, blackish, brownish, black. It's all kinds of colors. Not quite black, not quite brown. So I'm going to mix like a little bit of black and a little bit of brown, and we're going to paint it in. Get a little bit of water on my brush, and let's blend that out a little bit. And we'll go around his eyeball. I don't know if you can hear the crunching in the background. I gave my dogs a Icelandic sheep horn, and they're having a blast over there. All right, let's see. Now I'm gonna actually reshape this beak just a little bit. Do a little color in here. And it's pretty dark around the eyes. We'll go and I'll add some other lines in just a few minutes. That will darken it up along there and give it some dimension. All right. So you can kind of see the beak coming into shape. So eyeballs are weird. Animals are weird because when they don't have eyeballs, they look really freaky. All right. So right now it looks really extra freaky, but it's okay. Now I'm going to pick up a little more brown, kind of that gray, blackish brown, and really dilute it. And tap a little bit off, and then I'm going to kind of bring that along in here. All right. What's there? And I'm going to add a little more darkness on the bottom of the beak. So I'm going to pick up some blacker brown. Drop that in there. And there. It needs some like that blue color on the beak to kind of be a little bit of a highlight. So I'm going to pick up some of this like a turquoisey color that I mixed a while ago. This is like one of my favorite colors, and the blue is not showing up the same on camera as it is in person. Because blues are weird. They just don't show up on camera very well. All right, let's put a little bit of blue in the top of the beak to highlight, give it a little highlight. All right, and I am going to come back into his wings a little bit with a little bit of that grayish, blackish brown color. Kind of add a little more shadow in here to kind of give it a little more dimension and depth. And let's blend a little bit. Just too much water. Now, if you have too much water, it's going to go all crazy like this. And clean water repels paint, so it's going to push the paint away, which kind of stinks. And I got to go over this. And I'm just actually going to leave this because I kind of like that. Actually, maybe I'll take a little bit up here. There we go. All right, now you can see that my blue is kind of bleeding out really beautifully right here and looks like a highlight on the bird's beak. I'm going to pick up some yellow paint over here. I'm going to dilute it a little bit, and let's add a little bit of a yellow eyeball to our buddy. I know yellow eyeballs are kind of freaky, but that's what they have. All right, but see, now he's starting to come to life a little bit more. All right, let's work on his feet real quick. Let's pick up some bright, bright blue. Actually, I'm going to pick up the bones in the feet are kind of lighter color than the webbing of the feet. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of green and add that as like a highlight on the top of the bones. And then, yeah, let's do that. We'll add a little bit of green, and then we're going to pick up the bright blue. And add some paint. You know, this blue needs to be a little brighter. Hang on, I'm going to mix a little more, slightly different color, and make it a brighter blue. All right, I think I've got it. Just gonna add a little more green to that blue, and sorry guys, not much happening on camera right now. All right, let's add some more blue. There we go, that's a better blue. And if you leave the green alone a little bit, it will kind of look like a highlight. This is not working quite like I wanted it, but that's okay. We could try and add a little more later, or add some more darker blue to look like a shadow back here, which might make the green pop a little more. Or maybe if I just don't paint over it, it'll be okay. All right, so this is why I am not a YouTuber, because I get all nervous and I say goofy things while I'm painting, and yeah. Kudos to those who can do this talking to themselves like a crazy person. All right, so now let's blow some of those erasers away. Now we have some feet, and let's add some shadow. So this is still a little wet. I'm going to avoid that for just a second. I'm going to add some water to this so that when I do add some color, it will bleed out just a little bit. Let's add a really light wash and add to the bottom of the bird and not his foot, because now I just made his foot bleed, but hey, that's all right. I can go in and lift some of that water up with a thirsty brush, and then we'll just add some more paint back in there. And I lost my green paint, but hey. I'll add a little bit in there like that. And then let's pick up some more blue. Too much green. All right, hang on guys. I'm going to just pick this up. There. There we go. A little bit of color in the bottom of him for like kind of, the blue's kind of reflecting onto his belly a little bit, and then it gives it a little bit of roundness. And you can also do a little bit of gray around a white section of body that will, and that will give it also some more roundness. It kind of looks like a shadow as it's going around the body a little bit. And I'm going to put a tiny bit right here. Maybe a little bit over here. And I've left my pencil mark, so that will also give some definition to the white rounded body. All right. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of water on there, and it kind of helps the color soften as it blends into the body. All right, I think that this is dry. Let me see. Feels like it's dry, but maybe I should wait to put the dot on the eye. All right, let's put in a little more definition in the beak. I mean, you could go and have all kinds of crazy fun with this bird and give it a lot of details in all over the body, but I kind of like this really simple one. And I tend to, if I keep going, I will definitely mess it up because I'll not know when to stop. All right, let's add some definition to the beak and the face or nose or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to add some lines around here to give it some shape. Add a little wrinkle. All right, let's put this beak line in. And you know, actually, I'm going to blend that out a little bit. It's a little bit harsh. Yeah, we'll blend that out. And I'm going to add a little, like a, I don't know, do birds have nostrils? Breathing holes? Whatever they're called on their beak. Add that, lift up a little bit of that water. There we go. And then we'll add the beak line, the divide between the two parts of the beak. I don't know, the mouth. All right, let's put this baby in. And let's add a little darkness here. And then let's just give this, I dried my brush off really well, so let's give this a little kind of a blend out. And then I'm going to add the eyeball. And it changes so much when you actually, well, the, oh, what do you call it? The, pupil? Yeah, the pupil of the eyeball. All right, let's add that. With just this is just a number 0 Princeton snap brush. I'm just going to add a little black dot. And voila, he's alive. Yay. All right, I think he needs some more definition of value, different values, so different colors in the flecks in his fur. But I am actually going to erase a little bit of line here because it's kind of bugging me. I'm going to erase that. And then I'm going to erase, there's a line over here we're going to erase because it's bugging me. All right, and that changes his shape a little bit. It kind of tightens it up. And let's put a little bit of a line here to kind of tighten up his wing. I like that a little better. And we're going to add a couple more flecks now to his fur. So I'm going to grab another bit of this lighter grayish brown. That's a little bit darker than the brown I originally put down. Now sometimes if you get water on your brush, and like I just had and I wiped it off, if you don't wipe it off, you'll drop it on your painting, and that's no fun because then you end up getting little globs everywhere. All right, let's add a little definition in here, some more darkness. Having the lights and darks of your different paint colors is really good for giving dimension to an object. All right, that's starting to look a little better. I still love my first one better, but this is still cute. It's always hard to recreate something, and watercolor never is the same. The water does different things. Your sketches are different. Unless you're tracing something, it's really hard to duplicate something. All right, let's give him a couple little like pieces on his tummy. There we go. All right, and there is our Blue Footed Booby. And he's kind of a cute little guy. He probably needs a name, but I don't know. All right, I'm actually going to add in some lines here because they disappeared. All right, and now we have a Blue Footed Booby. And I hope that this was an okay video. Never done a painting tutorial before. But anyway, maybe I'll try them again. I'll practice doing it and see how it goes. All right, guys.